Hey, Grace, are you there? I heard that your date last night didn't go well, did it? What is this now, the 10th guy that you've gone through? You're already 36 years old and you've never ever been in a serious relationship? Don't you think that's just a bit pathetic?
Excuse me? And just what is pathetic about wanting to take my time and make sure that I found the right person, huh?
I just mean that if you wait too long or act too picky, that no one is ever going to want to marry you. You really should just lower your standards and get married already. It would make things so much easier for you. Because you know that as you get older, it's going to get harder and harder to get people to think you're attractive.
I don't really care what other people think of me. Besides, I'm in no huge rush to try and get married right away. Besides, the person that I would want to marry wouldn't care about my age or how I look. In fact, it's been Mom this whole time who's been setting up these blind dates for me, but I never even asked her to.
Well, if Mom didn't do it for you, then who would? Although you'd probably rather date one of those dumb men from the romance novels that you read. You're such a loser. Do you know that? When are you going to get real? You realize that the written word isn't any kind of substitution for a real flesh and blood husband, right?
Literally, what are you even talking about right now?
Oh, please. I already know all about it from Mom. She tells me that you spend so much of your free time with your nose buried in a bunch of romance books. But you're almost 40 years old. It's time for you to put the books down and try experiencing life for once. If you don't do that, then people might start to think that you're some kind of creep or something. Don't you want to be happily married?
I am sorry, but Mom has no right to judge me for wanting to read books when all she does is watch TV all day. As for getting married, when the right person comes along, I'll know, and then we'll marry.
You really think that the perfect man is just going to walk right up to you, get on one knee, and propose to you right then and there? No, I know that you really have been reading too many of those romance novels. But do you really actually believe that at your age? I mean, do you think that's how dating works in the real world? Especially at your age?
And just what is that supposed to mean, huh? How stupid do you really think I am?
I don't think you're stupid. More just in denial and jealous of how much more successful my love life has been. After all, while I was getting married at 20, you were still lying to us about that made-up boyfriend that you had, remember? Now that was a new low for you. But it also was just so funny how pathetic it was.
It wasn't a made-up boyfriend, Sally. He was real.
Yeah, sure. It wasn't just someone that you came up with because I was getting married that year. And how could you not be jealous when my husband is so handsome and sweet and makes a ton of money on top of that? I mean, I'm sure you've seen my vlogging about just how amazing our lives together are. You are seeing all my posts about my life, aren't you?
No, actually, I haven't really checked out all your social media pages at all.
Wait, what? What do you mean? You have to go and look! I post something just about every single day! Like the other day, I was posting all about the new Porsche that my husband bought, and I included this in the caption, so you would know if you were following me. But it cost around $1 million.
Wow, your husband really bought a Porsche? I guess he must be doing really well at work then, huh?
Well, I can't really say that I'm all surprised, given I know just how brilliant he really is. Maybe it's time you admit that you have a couple of things that you would learn from me about how to find a husband. After all, we're only young in our lives once, and once it's gone, that's it. So maybe you should put just a little bit more work into finding a husband while you still have your youth. If you don't, then I can guarantee you now that you're going to end up old and lonely.
Well, thank you so much for all your well-meant concerns about me, Sally. But I want you to know that even when I am old, I would still rather be old and have stuck to my principles than unhappily married for several decades.
Oh, sorry. I should have been more clear. I'm not really worried about you at all. I'm really only concerned for Mom and Dad's sake. I mean, don't you feel bad for the two of them? Obviously, they thought you were going to be the first to move out, but you're still living with them. Don't you know how badly they want you out of the house already? You're nothing but a leech to them.
Are you seriously saying that I'm just leeching off of Mom and Dad? You really have no idea what you're talking about, do you?
Well, am I lying? If you think that I am, why don't you go and talk to Mom about this? Because she told me that she is sick and tired of having you at home. Both of our parents see it clear as day, the scam that you're trying to run on them. They call and text me every day just talking about how much they'd wish you'd just leave them alone already.
Is this supposed to be some kind of cruel joke or something like that? You really think that I'm going to believe a word that you're saying?
But everything I'm saying is true. All you do is use up Mom and Dad's money. And then you have the gall to try and tell me I'm wrong when you can't even take care of yourself. You know, Mom was actually crying to me over the phone the other day. She told me that thanks to you, she doesn't even have any money to buy clothes for herself.
Oh, come on, that is just ridiculous.
It's totally true that you just take all of Mom and Dad's money and just use it on yourself, right? And meanwhile, you make Mom and Dad take care of the house and do all of the cleaning while you go out partying all night. Although I can't imagine what it actually is that you're doing since you don't even have a boyfriend.
You have got some serious nerve talking to me like this, do you know that? And has Mom really said all of these things to you? Because I don't know if I believe that.
Well, I don't care what you believe because I already know that you're just awful. You do nothing to help out our parents while you live in their house and use them for their money. You're going to leave them penniless and make sure that every last cent of their savings has somehow been spent on you. You're the one that has some serious nerve treating your own family that way. Do you know that? Because you're nothing but a pathetic old maid who nobody is ever going to love. That's why you have to take out your frustrations on Mom and Dad, isn't it?
I can't believe that you are actually sending me messages like that. You are taking this way too far right now.
I can't believe that you still won't own up to the truth. Maybe this is why you can never find someone to date you. You just refuse to acknowledge any kind of truth.
Mom, are you there? I think you and I need to have a little chat right now. Do you really think of me as some kind of leech on you and Dad? Because I think we both know that that is just a bit ridiculous.
Wait, what? What do you mean? Where is this coming from all of a sudden?
I am talking about all the things that I just heard from Sally. She told me all about the conversations you two have about me behind my back. Do you really think that I'm just after yours and Dad's money? And that I forced you two to take care of the house while I go out all the time? Because I think we both know that I have never done that, even once.
Grace, dear, what on earth are you talking about? You're always the one who is taking care of the house, and I've never said anything to the contrary. I think that your sister is just jealous of living so far away from us, so she's resorted to making up horrible lies about you.
Because I just want to make it clear now that the only financial role I play for you and Dad is helping Dad pay down his credit card debt. I have been working so hard for a year to try and repair his credit score and lessen the debt that he has. That's the only way that I control your money.
I know. And you have to know how grateful your father and I are for that. It's been such a relief seeing some actual money go into our savings account for once. We had been living in the red for so long before then.
I know, and there was no way that your retirement money was going to be enough for the kind of help that you two needed. That's why I've been helping you guys by giving you money every month. It was so that you could focus on paying down your debt.
Of course we all know that's true. In fact, the only reason why your father and I can't spend money how we used to is because you're insisting that we save so much.
Well, so then why did Sally think that I was putting all of the housework on you and Dad? Because I thought we agreed that if I paid for all of the utilities at home, that you and Dad said you would handle the housework. You told me that you would agree to doing it if I paid you $1,500 a month, remember?
I know, but I thought I told you that we need to raise that up to $3,000 a month, or else it just wasn't going to cut it. But you told me, remember? You said that you know $1,500 would be enough for me. So, basically, you denied your mom more money and still expect her to take care of the house. I don't think I'm being unfair in describing that if you basically forcing your dad to clean the house for peanuts.
I'm sorry, but I just don't see why you would need that much money given that I'm already paying for so much around here.
Because I have expenses that I need to cover as well, okay? And I don't need you making a big deal about the price. Did you know that last month I went through all the money you gave me just on food alone?
You only spent it all on food because you and Dad used it to treat yourselves to eating out all the time. And when you would cook at home, you went to the most expensive grocery stores for your ingredients. I'm sorry, but if you don't know how to spend your money wisely, that isn't my fault. You and Dad need to realize that the family business is not bringing in the money that it used to, and you two need to learn how to save for your futures.
But it isn't fair! I hate that cheap supermarket near our house. It's clear that everyone who shops there is so poor, and I stick out like a sore thumb.
Well, it's either learn how to spend your money wisely or go into debt again, okay? You do realize that when I get married, I'm going to move out of the house, and that means I'm going to be paying for a lot less. So that's why I'm trying to help you and Dad get your finances in order before that happens. Can't you see that it's for the good of you two that I'm doing this?
Oh, really? You have got some nerve pretending like you're doing this all from the good of your heart. And just what is this talk about you getting married when you don't even have a boyfriend? I wish that you would get married just so that you could finally leave us alone.
You don't really mean that, do you? Is that really what you want to happen?
It doesn't matter since you don't even have a man who could ask you to marry him. Although it isn't like I haven't tried setting you up with countless good-looking young men. Do you have any idea how hard it was to arrange some of those dates for you? If anything, I should be getting more money from you just for doing that service. Besides, at least if you did get married to someone, then between your two incomes, you could easily afford to give me $3,000 a month.
I really don't know what to say to that. Here I was thinking that you were just concerned about me. But now you come out and say that this whole thing was just a way for you to try and get more money from me?
Of course this is about the money. You've been living at home with your father and I for far too long now. Why else do you think I've been trying so hard to find someone you can marry? I want you to get out there, marry some rich guy, and make sure that your dad and I get a kickback.
Mom, I don't even want to have this conversation with you anymore. I'm going to marry someone for love, and that's it. And when I do marry, you and Dad aren't going to see another penny from me. Do you understand? Now I need to go and calm down and think about things. Sally, are you there? Please, you need to get back to me right away. Have you been in contact with Mom and Dad lately? I just got back from work and neither of them are home. Do you have any idea where they might be? Even all their things are gone. The house is practically empty. Do you have any idea what might be going on here?
Oh, I think I have a very good idea. After all, Mom and Dad are sitting right here next to me. And they are both just so happy about how much they were able to sell the house for. So, the three of us are all together to celebrate a job well done on our part.
Wait a second, what do you mean they sold the house? I don't understand.
Well, the house is empty. You said so yourself, right? And the reason is because Mom and Dad decided to sell the house and the land it was on. Which means that you might want to start packing up your bags and getting ready to leave too. Because you certainly won't be able to stay there much longer.
Wait a second, are you serious? Did Mom and Dad seriously try and sell that house? When did this happen? Why wasn't I told about this at all until now? I mean, I can't just come home to the news that the house is gone. That isn't fair.
Aw, yeah. I guess this means that you'll have to find another place to live right away, huh? Sucks for you, ha ha ha. But then again, this is what you get for being such a little leech on Mom and Dad until now. You don't deserve to stay with them. So I say that this is what you get.
You still really think that I've been leeching off Mom and Dad this whole time?
I don't think. I know. I know that you're almost 40 and you're still expecting your mom and dad to take care of you. Well, I'm glad that Mom and Dad finally wised up to what you were doing to them. I talked to Mom and she told me that she would much rather live with us rather than you. That's why we kept this a secret from you. But now the house is sold and there's nothing you can do about it.
So then Mom and Dad are going to be moving in with you and your family instead?
That's right. And you're going to be left out in the cold with no one to take care of you anymore. Mom and Dad knew this was the only way to get you to stand on your own 2 feet and finally find yourself a man.
I don't believe it. I never would have guessed in a million years that Mom and Dad would have done this to me. And I'm even surprised about your husband. You two haven't even been married that long, but he's going along with this?
He was more than happy to let Mom and Dad come and live with us, actually. Now I'm going to take care of Mom and Dad and make sure I get all the inheritance.
What inheritance are you talking about? There is nothing left if they sold the house. After all, Dad's business is more of a liability than an asset right now.
Well, I'll still get the money that they got from the house. Besides, I would be more concerned about finding out where you're going to live.
Oh, I'm not worried about that at all. If Mom and Dad sold their house, I'll just go and live with my boyfriend.
Is that your way of saying you're going to try and make a little hut for yourself out of all your romance novels? Too bad the men from those books aren't real. No one's going to come and save you now.
No, I meant I'll just go and live with my flesh and blood boyfriend. But anyways, enjoy ruining your marriage by living with Mom and Dad. Hope that goes well for you. After all, if you're taking care of them, that just means that it'll be up to you to help with their debt now.
Their debt? What do you mean by that? I thought Dad was able to sell his company for a ton of money.
I don't know where you got that information from, but Dad did not sell his company. In fact, it's on the brink of bankruptcy, actually. Mom and Dad were both going into so much debt just to keep the business afloat.
No, that can't be right. I mean, Mom told me that it was a huge sale. She told me that her and Dad were going to be set for life.
I see. So it was Mom who gave you the bad information. Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but I'm only telling you the truth. In fact, this has been a problem with them for a while. They both just never could wrap their heads around making less money. And their spending habits only worsened because of that. They ended up in a cycle of taking out new loans to pay back their old ones.
I don't believe this. Why didn't I know any of this? This is crazy.
Well, one of the reasons why I stayed with Mom and Dad so long was because I was helping them restructure their finances. If anything, I'm just glad that it's not my problem anymore.
But then, if all they really have is debt, that means that I'm not going to get any money from them at all.
Yeah, but at least you have your Porsche-buying husband to help you out with that. Don't worry, I'm sure that all of you will be able to figure this out and get along with each other, right? In the end, Sally did end up sticking to her word and let Mom and Dad move in with her and her husband. A part of me hoped that living together would have pushed them towards humility, but instead it just brought out the worst in them. Now it wasn't just Sally, but even my mom who was posting pictures of social media of her showing off the fancy house, car, and everything else that Sally and her husband owned. But it wasn't long before commenters on their posts were accusing them of leading a fake rich lifestyle that was all just for show. This all came to light when it was discovered that between all of them, they had well over $100,000 in debt. The last I heard, Sally's home was being repossessed and they all had to move into a cramped apartment together so they could all focus on their debt. Of course, how well that's going in practice is a whole nother question.